So now that we've got a case of the MERS, not the mermaids or the mermaid mans or the mermans, now that we've got a case of the MERS in the United States, how long do you think, let's make a bet on this, it's going to take before the conservative media starts blaming Obama? It's only a matter of time, you do realize. It's all his fault. If we had done something, this could have been prevented, I'm sure. I'm sure of it. Oh my God, they're going to blame him on the Holocaust soon enough, I'm sure. They'll come up with something. Just blame him. It's so ridiculous. I'm actually just recording this because I thought that was a funny thing to say. I thought it funny thing to say. You like funny jokes and we laugh together. Ha ha. And I want to test this, transitioning the intro into this. Tonight we'll be back with the boys are going crazy. This is why I don't record during the day. I want to talk about what you would do, or what I would do, if handed $1,000, $10,000, $100,000, $1 million, $10 million, and $1 billion. I think that'll be a fun topic to talk about. I got to think about it a little bit more, though. Last night I kind of pissed through the dollar, the $10, and $100, because let's face it, I mean, all three of those amounts of money aren't very much anymore. Even $100. Like when I was a kid, I remember when I graduated from 8th grade, my mother gave me $100, and I had to decide what I wanted to do with it. Now, I was a little older, but I was still playing with toys, and hell, I still play with toys. I don't play with them, but I collect them. And I remember I was like, oh man, I don't know why. I kind of wanted to get some new clothes, but I was like, well, I could do that, or I could do this. But ultimately, what I decided to go with, and I've been made fun of this, not made fun of, but I was the spoiled little kid, I ended up buying the G.I. Joe USS aircraft carrier. It was $100 at the time. It was 7.5 feet long, and you could put your jets on it and your G.I. Joes and just go to town. Problem is the top of it was good. It didn't really stay together great, but it was alright. And you got the little base section where the people could go in and fiddle around or whatever. The thing that supported it was a thick vinyl, almost like you can buy in coils at Home Depot. There was two of them that wound underneath it. Like, it didn't have a solid base. It was just these two coils of thick plastic that were somewhat flexible, but they didn't stay in position. So you'd stick that underneath there, and that's what held it up. And that was a little disappointing, because it covered the underneath, so you didn't see that there was nothing underneath. But there was no, like, real... There might have been, like, a stand or two, but it wasn't significant enough to ever hold it up perfectly. So it was always tough playing with it, because it always wanted to fall over and stuff. So a little bit of a disappointment. But, I mean, when you're a kid and you got that, you're as happy as a pig in shit. I know I was. Oh, I loved G.I. Joes. I remember Star Wars figures were so much fun because of the characters, and you know, I mean, they were, at the time, probably some of the better looking figures. You know, they didn't look anything like the characters, really. I mean, if you look at figures now, it's, like, insane. But, like, that, you know, when you're a kid, but all you had was those pretty much 5 points of articulation. You had the arms, you had the legs, and then you had the head. And if you had, like, R2-D2, you got 3 points of articulation, the 2 legs, and the head would twist. And C-3PO was very brittle. He was made of a hard plastic, that shiny hard plastic, and actually it was painted on, I think, because I remember my first one was down to nothing. It scraped off of him. But when G.I. Joe came along, they introduced, you know, the swivel head, and the shoulders that had the up and down, plus circular, so you could actually do that. Plus you got the elbow movement. The wrist still didn't move, I don't believe. I think those were still stagnant. They had the hands like that, so you could stick a gun in their hand. And then the waist, the torso pivoted, and the waist was separate from the legs, so you could actually turn them, and the knees bent, and you could really position them. And that's when just playing with toys got real fun when you were a kid, because you could do so much with them. I used to, like, freeze them in the freezer, and, like, play with them like that. Or I'd take, like, clear plastic Tupperware containers. I had a pool table when I was a kid, and for a while it was my Lego table, and then it became my G.I. Joe table. And I would take some of the structures, like some of the buildings for G.I. Joe, and, you know, throw them into the water or whatever. I don't know. It was a lot of fun. I used to hang string across so that they could go across the string and zip line down. It was a lot of fun. Playing with toys was fun. Why do we stop playing with toys? I mean, you could say, well, we grow up. Why? So, I guess we find new things to entertain us and enjoy. But, you know, when you're a kid, I guess you just don't foresee that. I had everything, man. I had G.I. Joe and Star Wars, Transformers, He-Man. It was crazy. Thundercats, you name it. Like, I had some weird, obscure toys, too, that would come out. I'd be like, oh, that looks cool. I gotta get those. But yeah, I'd have to say G.I. Joe is probably my favorite. That or when the wrestling guys came out. I was big into wrestling in the 80s, or early 80s. When, you know, Hulk Hogan was in his prime and stuff. And those rubber figures in the wrestling ring were the most fun. Like, I think maybe that was the transitionary period for me. I went from playing with toys to becoming the toy myself. Like, I remember, like, getting up on my bureaus and just dropping elbows onto my bed on the floor and, like, doing this for hours on Saturday mornings. That was a lot of fun. Occasionally I'd let my pillow in, too, because I felt bad for it. I had a king-size pillow that I could just beat the tar out of, and that's what I did when I was a kid. I'm sure you did, too. I'm sure you put on your mother's dress and makeup and pranced around the neighborhood with a basket. I know. I didn't do that. No. I didn't do that. No, I was wrestling pillows. No, I really didn't do that. But if I did, there'd be no problem with that. If that's what you're into, go for it, man. Anywho, I'll be back tonight with the $1,000 to $1 billion question, what I would do with it. We'll discuss that later, and I'm gonna go wrestle my children. No, I'm not. I'm gonna go make lunch. You guys have a great day. Don't forget to make somebody smile, and I will see you tonight on the road to 40, episode 43. Trying to keep them shorter, I promise. All right, take care, guys. I'll see you next time.